emotional or personal emotions to any of the characters in 13 Reasons Why?
All of them. One of the things when I write books, I try to understand all of the characters and empathize with them, even if I don't agree with them. So even the ones that do bad things, you have to try to understand why they could possibly do something like that, which then can be really emotionally hard. There were times when I was writing some of the characters that I really didn't like, that I would, when I was done, just felt gross and would have to go out for a walk. So yeah, it's tough. It can drain on you, writing those characters.
If someone were to write a book about suicide or bullying, what things would you say they need to research?
The real reasons why people do that stuff. There are a lot of cliches, both about why people bully and why people commit suicide. And some of the cliches are true, but some of them aren't. For example, in 13 Reasons Why, I try not to have it be one really big thing, but a bunch of small things, which is usually how it is. And so a lot of people that read the book, that's the main thing they comment on, that they didn't realize that it's often the really small things they do to people that can make a really big impact on them.
I saw a review saying 13 Reasons Why changed my life. How did the book change your life?
The book changed my life in a lot of ways. One, I could be a writer full-time because a lot of people bought the book. But personally, I wrote the book very honestly. I try to just tell the truth and just be very blunt with the truth. But then when the book came out and I started hearing from readers like that said it changed my life, I started thinking about my own life based on what the readers were telling me they got out of the book. And so it's weird to have a book that you write that then the readers, when they respond to you, really make you re-examine your life. And in a way, I think I have a better grasp on life and I'm happier in life because of the emails I get from readers.
Nice. Carolyn, Mackler, how did you develop a liking for writing romance novels?
I like reading novels where characters fall in love and where even if they don't get together at the end, their lives are really affected by romance. I like feeling hopeful that people have soulmates.
Do you think that how did growing up in Manhattan have any influence on your books?
I actually didn't grow up in Manhattan. I was born in Manhattan and I grew up in Western New York, but then I moved back to Manhattan in my early 20s. So I feel like in a way I had my teen years in a small town where I've set a few of my books, where I set part of Tangled and where I set Vegan Virgin Valentine and part of Viaholic. But also I spent, like when I became a writer and even up till now, I live in New York City. And so I've set some of my books in New York City because that's where, when I walk around and I'm picturing a character, I picture them on those streets.
Okay, and do you have favorite books of any of the ones you've written?
I don't. I wrote all of them. I love all of them. They all feel like I wrote them from a very special place in my heart. But the one that I'm usually most excited to talk about is the one that I'm currently writing, because that's the one where all the ideas are still forming in my head, and I feel really excited about where it's going to go.
Okay, and then I have 3 questions for both of you. Why did you pick each other to write this book?
I sent Jay an email and asked if he wanted to write a book together, and we didn't know each other before this. We had just met professionally over email a few times. And I just thought that he would be a great person to write with because I was a big fan of 13 Reasons Why, and we both write realistic fiction, so I felt like we could really create a world together that would make sense to both of us. But I also really liked the way he paced 13 Reasons Why. It was so suspenseful and I couldn't put it down. And so I thought that if we wrote a book together, we could work on having that same pacing.
And Carolyn was one of my favorite authors of all time. And so when I got an email asking if I wanted to write a book with her, it was just beyond amazing. Like, what an amazing honor. So there was no way I was going to say no. So I said, let's try. And it happened to work out.
Okay, what were your process writing this book with another person?
We brainstormed the entire story, chapter by chapter, because we both wanted a hand in everything. We both wanted to agree on where the story was going. And then we also wanted it to feel like one person wrote it. So one of us would write a chapter and then send it to the other person, and then that person could do whatever they wanted, change it, edit it, however they wanted, and not tell the other the other author. They just changed it and sent it back, and then that person would change it, send it back, and we just kept going and fine-tuning each chapter until we were both very happy with it.
We wanted it to feel like it was written by one author, not two, so we wanted it to feel really seamless. As someone read it, they didn't feel jolted between voices and authors. And so that's why we really said to each other, like, even though I'll write the first chapter, the first draft of all of Emma's chapters, and Jay wrote the first draft of all of Josh's chapters, when we switched, we could rewrite each other's chapters and just really try to stay within that character's voice.
Okay, and if you could see yourself on Facebook 15 years from now, what do you think you'd see?
I would look, before we started The Future of Us, I would have said, of course I'd look. But I wouldn't look because even if, knock on wood, my life will look just like I've a happy marriage, I have 2 great kids, and hopefully it'll just be a continuation of that. But what we realize is that even if you see your future, it's hard to exactly make that same path because you see it. So how can you do it exactly the way it was supposed to be done?
Yeah, same thing. I would want to look, but I wouldn't look after writing the book. But if I had to, if you made me look, the one thing I would check up on, I would want to see what my son, who's only 1 year old now, like what he's into.
At 16.
Yeah. If
Would
he
you want to
does
see
any
the books you wrote?
sports.
Because then you could.
But then I'd mess it up because I'd try to write that book and I'd totally mess it up. So yeah.
That's all the questions.
Thank you.
I'm Savannah, and I just interviewed Jay Asher and Carolyn Mackler.